Oh boy.
Hey, that's an annual tradition every show, or a daily tradition every show. We got to drop headphones or microphone or something's got to drop.
Yeah.
Josh Ligon was in here. I think 3 things fell down.
Really?
So yeah, it's just the ghost of the studio. All right, welcome to the North Wright County Today podcast from the beautiful Selfie Company studios in downtown Albertville, Minnesota. Historic downtown.
Historic. Yeah.
This is the old school.
We are here at Cons Crossing, as we casually refer to it, and we're going to kick the pod right off with my friend, Nick's friend, Mike Schomer here, by the way. Nick Schultz down on the end, in the middle, friend of the show, friend of the podcast, Tim Demery. Yay!
Yes.
Wright County Whiskey Club. Joining us today, Wright County Whiskey Club, and Tim's going to tell you all about it, how it kind of came to be, what they do, and, how this has kind of impacted our community in a positive way. So,
Yeah.
all right. Thanks for joining us, man. I really
Thanks for having
appreciate
us.
it.
When do we drink? This is like staring.
Soon, very soon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's we do have a little bit of sample today. We are all 21 at least.
Yes.
And
21 times.
And
And
if
we're
my
all-
employer is interested, I am not going back to the bank.
yeah, we are clocked off.
It is
We are-
later in the day than we're
Yeah.
recording this.
exactly. So,
That's funny.
well, welcome, and
having me.
let's just throw down just by kicking off Wright County Whiskey Club. Tell me about it. Established 2021, but really, it was kind of a brainchild of some gatherings and stuff, and just kind of tell me how it came to
Yeah.
be.
So I've always been a wine guy. My brother lives in Santa Rosa, California, in wine country. We would go out there pretty much every year after we got married. And during COVID, kind of got a little sick of wine. We were, I'm not going to say we drank every day, but we pretty much drank most days the first month or so of the pandemic, and got a little tired of it. So my wife Kristen bought for Father's Day a subscription service, a monthly subscription service to this Shaker and Spoon.
Oh,
And
fantastic!
It was awesome. It was like they provided. There's this beautiful box with like syrups and little spritzes and garnishes and all this. They created 3 different cocktail kits, and all you had to do was buy the spirits. So like 1 month would be like tequila, and then Japanese whiskey and rum, and it was super fun. Definitely, it was one of the highlights of the pandemic. And the bourbon month, I was like, wow, this is really, really good. So I had a friend who I've known from work for years who has always been trying to get me into whiskey, and I just never been. I was like, no, that's old people drink that stuff. Yeah. And I really liked it. I called him. I'm like, hey, dude, I really am starting. I want to get into bourbon. He's like, well, just so happens I bought a liquor store. So he bought Ace Spirits in Hopkins. So, and Ace Spirits has historically just been a mecca for whiskey. So, yeah, he kind of got me into it, and just it kind of blossomed from there. And so he's actually a Kentucky Colonel. So this is like a legit thing. Like there's Kentucky Colonels, you have to be nominated by a governor, and it's pretty neat. And he's part of this national whiskey club called the Bourbon Crusaders. So it's really big.
You
It's
can
probably
name drop if you want to throw his name out
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, Luke Castle.
Okay.
My boy Luke Castle. Yeah, over at Ace Spirits in Hopkins. Shout out Luke. Yeah. He is part of the Bourbon Crusaders, and there was the tornadoes in Kentucky in 2021. They all got together and partnered up with all these distilleries in Kentucky and did a silent auction to raise money. And I just casually got on one day, like, I'll bid on a couple things, and I'm looking at these prices, like I mean, like a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle 23 for $48,000.
Right.
It was outrageous. And, you could a private barrel experience with, whatever, Old Forester, let's just say, it was like $130,000. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, there's not, Luke, there's, these can't be like individuals, like they can't afford this, right? And it must be liquor stores. He's like, liquor stores can't afford these. They're whiskey clubs. I'm like, oh, whiskey club, what's that? And I just kind of did some research, and there was nothing up here, and so we got together between Christmas and New Year's 2021, and I think there was 15 people in my basement, and we didn't really know what we were going to do. I had an idea, Wright County Whiskey Club, like the WCWC was just kind of
the alliteration.
Yeah, it was just like that was kind of the
sure.
first, and I was trying to 94 corridor bourbon, like nothing worked because I was like, it's I'm we're in Wright County, but across the river is Sherburne County, and Rogers is Hennepin County. I'm like, I tried to find something that would work that wasn't exclusive to Wright County, but we were just settled on Wright County.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so it comes to be, and was it like a monthly meeting, or how often did you guys meet, and what does that have evolved into?
We really didn't know what we were gonna do. So like that first meeting, we were just drinking. I was like, all right, so what do we want to do? Like, do we want to get together? Do you want to, do themed tastings?
Do we need Robert's Rules of Order and things like that? Call the hearing, calling the question, which...
Motion in a second.
Yeah. Need Steve Bott there.
Steve Bott is...
I know.
Bott comes, Bott's awesome, Keith and his son Michael and Ryan Gleason and Nick Preisler and Steve Bott. Those guys are awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we've got a lot of, we got Mayor Lloyd Hilgart from Montana.
From Monty,
absolutely.
Yeah. Great guy.
Who else? We've done, actually we raised our first fundraiser was for Jill Hendrickson's foundation.
Albertville Mayor,
for her mom's
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So yes, we our first legit tasting was a rye tasting, and we had like 35 people in my house for that, and it just kind of grew from there. Originally, it was like an open Facebook group, and it grew to like 800 people. But we ended up with people from scammers from other countries and whatnot, and it kind of tried to tighten that group up and whatnot. And then we knew originally that we wanted to be a nonprofit. Didn't know exactly why we did, but we're like, I think let's make this a nonprofit, because originally we just said we want to use our love of whiskey to give back to the community. Like that was our original mission statement, and now it's kind of grown to it's give, gather, grow. So number one, we give back to the community. We gather. A lot of what we do, so we do meet every like 5 to 7 weeks, and we find that our tasting events kind of fuel everything else that we do, the fundraising. We pick private barrels and all that, but really it's the gathering. It's the getting together and every 6 or so weeks and getting to know each other, and it's business networking, and I've made some great friends from it, and
cool.
Yeah, super fun.
So I have to ask a question.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. The style of glass here.
Yeah, I want to bring a few different types of drinking
so
glasses here.
Can you tell me why? It's like basically in the shape of a tulip,
It is
right?
in the shape of a tulip. All these are kind of in the shape of tulips. So you want a deep bowl to kind of open it up, but you want kind of a narrow opening, so it kind of it just concentrates the aroma,
the delivery and aroma.
So
Sure.
This is everyone. My buddies make fun of me for. I love the actual like tulip glass, and this is they call this a Kenzie glass. I don't know why, and this is a Stolzel glass. I don't know for sure why they. Yeah, I think the bigger ones you can put like a couple whiskey stones in, or a little bit tougher to do that with some of the other glasses. And then you have a traditional Glencairn glass, which I don't know if I have that with.
You guys can't see it, but off camera, Tim's got his work bag with him here.
Yeah.
No, it's actually a really cool satchel with several different bottles of whiskey in it.
Yeah. believe they call that a traveler. Is that
Yeah,
what
this
that's
is,
called? A traveler?
We do a big Christmas raffle. The Bourbon Real Talk is a whiskey YouTuber and podcaster, and he donated one of these for our Christmas raffle. And it's like, this thing's amazing. So I asked for it for Christmas, and Santa delivered. Santa
Awesome.
delivered. Yeah.
So similarities to wine, but differences, right? I mean,
yeah, it's
your tasting, your experience. It's all about the experience.
all of the experience, and they're aging in barrels, and it's there's like bourbon, and when I was kind of getting into bourbon, there's this video called Neat on Hulu, and it's all about the history of Kentucky bourbon. I'm like, oh man, this is amazing. Like I really fell in love with the history of bourbon and just the Kentucky and how it's made, and there's no additives, and there's just like, it was the first regulated product in America. So way back when, you could make, we could probably make vodka if we want to do this. We could make vodka and be drinking it, in a week probably.
The old bathtub gin
yeah,
during
exactly.
Prohibition, yeah.
But whiskey has to be aged.
Right.
So what they were doing prior to the Bottled and Bond Act was they'd have just a clear spirit, and let's figure out what can make this dark. Turpentine, tobacco spit. I mean, all kinds of nasty stuff, and people are getting gut rot. People are dying, and
all in the name of imbibing. Just
I know, serious, just feeding our addictions, I guess, our vices. But so yeah, it's to be and there's there's a corny saying, all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon.
Which is all wine or all champagne is wine, but not all wine is champagne.
Yeah.
So definitely a similarity there.
So I think I heard the difference between bourbon and whiskey is that whiskey barrels can be reused, but a bourbon barrel can only be used once.
I mean, that's
Brand new
one of
charred oak barrel. Yeah. And then from there the bourbon barrel can go to maple syrup company, or we had a Buffalo Trace barrel that we gave the barrel to Nordic Brew Pub in Monticello, one of our awesome partners, and they aged their
one
Thunderbus.
One of their stouts, right?
Oh yeah, Thunderbus. It was outstanding.
Yeah.
Barrel aged stouts are pretty awesome.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
And for me, that was my gateway into whiskey. You go to Surly in October, and it's Darkness Days, and Darkness is it's a Russian Imperial Stout. One of the variants is, the Gold, which they age in a whiskey barrel. I'm not quite sure who they have their cooperation with. Could be Keeper's Heart because it's very close.
Yeah, right next door. Because I know Keeper's Heart's done some
excellent whiskeys down there, and obviously award-winning, and a totally different from bourbon in the sense that it's more of an Irish and American blend, but super cool. And that was how I got into it. And I'm like, I didn't drink whiskey, to be frank, because my family drank whiskey, and growing up I didn't like the smell, so I was like, well, I'm never really gonna like that, and so I was a vodka guy, mainly a beer guy. Good friend of ours, Phil Detlefson, would host little kind of tastings as well, and shout out Phil, and that got me into craft beer. Similarly, and kind of we're seeing, we talked a little bit about it with Jeff O'Brien when he was on the show. Tastes shift, people mature, people find different things, whether it's coffees or beers or wines, and then whiskey has kind of become a new one. And it's cool to experience that and to have the camaraderie with it. But you guys have found a mission with it. What all have you guys, you mentioned the Alzheimer's thing with Jillian, Mayor Jillian Hendrickson from right here in Albertville. What other charities have you guys worked with, and how did those relationships kind of pop up?
Yeah, so we applied to be a 501c3. Pretty much, it was pretty fast after we started, and kind of, there was, you come out of the pandemic, I think people were starving for a community, so it was just like, perfect timing. I don't know. Maybe we started today and it wouldn't be as popular, but yeah, it was just kind of perfect timing with the pandemic. So we applied for our nonprofit status and 501c3. And what whiskey clubs do is they'll, if they get an opportunity, they'll buy a barrel of bourbon or whiskey.
Yeah.
And I was part of an Arizona group called Barrels for Good. So they would have a private barrel and it clears through a liquor store and everything, and you could buy a bottle, and part of the money would go towards a particular charity. So artists and Chris Hansen from Cashwise
For sure.
gave us like that midsummer, like even before we were a 501c3, just said, hey, do you guys want a Knob Creek barrel? So from Jim Beam, I'm like, yeah, that'd be really cool. So we that was the Jillian's barrel. So basically we just said, hey, if you're going to buy a bottle, would you be willing to make a charitable donation and to gravy? Why can't I think of it? What's it called?
Alzheimer's Foundation?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Humble and Kind. Humble and Kind.
There it is. Yes.
Humble and Kind. So that was our first. Second was Back in the Blue Line. What else? SOAR Regional Arts was another one. My goodness, SOAR Regional Arts. So it was kind of confusing at the beginning because we tried to do the Barrels for Good approach where we had a charity for each barrel, but then from a liquor store standpoint, here you have a group of people that can buy 180 bottles like that.
Right.
So it's obviously in their best interest to partner up with a group like ours. So then all of a sudden we're just like getting so many opportunities. Yeah. So it was about a little over a year ago. We had like 4 or 5 fundraisers going on. Mm-hmm. So in Minnesota, you have this 3-tiered system where you got the distillery, you got the distributor, and you got the liquor store. Mm-hmm. And you gotta. That's how it goes. You have to buy it from a liquor store, and the liquor store can't make a charitable donation. So, and we can't sell liquor. So it's like this 2-step process of buying the bottle and then donating, and then you have multiple fundraisers going. So we last year, second quarter, we went to 1 charity per quarter.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we can, if we have 1 private barrel or 3 private barrels, we're all raising money for that one organization.
Entity.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, first quarter, we had Thumbs Up.
Yes.
Elk River.
Excellent organization.
So, mental health awareness and suicide prevention. Mm-hmm. And, we raised $9,200 for that.
Shout out to Ryan Gleason.
Yeah, Gleason. I love Gleason.
His wife is now working with
Hannah
them.
is.
And they are very close with us over at Elk River School District. So
they're fantastic.
There's a lot of ties there, and we love to see them do well. That's great.
We got to see them in April. They came out and talked to our group over at Nordic and presented them a big oversized check, and it was pretty cool. This quarter is Crossroads Animal Shelter over in Buffalo.
Just pulling at the heartstrings.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about that one. Yeah,
that's a good one right there.
And we have we do Project Pencils. That's kind of like we have 2 that are going to kind of going forward are going to be just like third quarter is going to be Project Pencils.
Yeah. Which
first
is
quarter,
school supplies.
Yeah, school supplies
like
for kids all around Wright County, and I think they have backpacks and everything. They work their butts off.
That's cool.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So they're great. And then Legacy to Inspire is another one.
Oh yes.
Yeah. That was so. With our private barrels, we put a fun sticker on the back. So this was for our buddy Andy Vogie, who passed away of
rest in
appendix
peace,
cancer.
Andy.
Yeah. I'm not gonna cry. So we're first quarter of next year. We're gonna we raised I think we've raised like $25,000 for Legacy to Inspire total.
So a little story about Legacy to Inspire. They work with our alternative high school kids at Ivan Sand Community High School in Elk River. Shout out to those guys. They're good. So total senioritis set in over there. They're ready to graduate, man. But last year, it was about this time of year, and it was probably one of his last visits to our building. They came with the welding equipment, and they were making art tables, and they had the Phoenix logo on there and everything. And those kids were like, "This is so cool!" It's hands-on. It's something I can do with my mind and my hands. I can create something, and it benefits the building. We needed things to move things from classroom to classroom, especially for arts, drawing, painting, whatever. And those will leave a legacy.
Yeah.
They'll be in our building for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And he was there and showing people how to make cuts and things like that. Some of the other staff guys, volunteers were there, and the kids. You could see the kids who, like, this is in my wheelhouse.
Yes.
Just like step up and lead and like take it, and like hey, come with me. I'll show you how. All of a sudden, the student is becoming a teacher to other students. Such a cool thing. So
Yeah.
shout out to Legacy to Inspire. Shout
Yeah.
out to you guys for finding a cause like that. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
they're awesome, and we're continuing with Tim Quavisto and Rachel Vogel,
Yeah.
Andy's wife, and it's just these kids are, they love going to this. They
Yeah.
might not enjoy going to school, but they just love this. They have purpose, and that's grown. It's crazy how.
You'll see
In a short amount
the
of time they're
green
growing.
trailer going everywhere. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So tell me what we got today.
You kind of, if you're gonna do whiskey tasting, you want to go like from your lowest proof to your highest proof. Because if you go like, and when I first
we also
started,
want to be able to drive home.
you want to be able to drive home. Yeah, the higher the proof, the higher the alcohol content. So it's not like 10% wine. I mean, like this is 45% alcohol.
Right.
So you don't want to, if you start off with they call them hazmat if it's over 140 proof, which is like 70% alcohol. Yeah, you start with that. Everything else is just whiskey water.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is our Woodford Double Oaked. It's a great bottle that you can pretty much buy anywhere.
Yeah.
So this is our private barrel that we picked. This was my gosh, dang it, Tim, don't cry. We picked this one with Andy as well. So Andy actually picked both of these barrels here. So it was pretty cool. He wasn't, he didn't make it to see this one, but So Woodford Double Oaked. It's 90 proof. It's outstanding. So.
And it's got what I love is we got the Timberwolves on there.
Yeah.
They're playing in their second round series, and we've got Double Dribble.
Double Dribble Oaked,
which is, if you grew up playing Nintendo. Double Dribble. Yeah. Konami Sports had the game.
Yeah.
They had RBI baseball. They had Blades of Steel.
Yeah.
And Double Dribble, and like those were the three hits, man. Those were great. And nobody really perfected a football game until Tecmo came around with football.
Ready?
There was
Ready? Hike.
there was 10-yard, wasn't it 10-yard fight that they had, I think?
Yeah. So with we get a little bottle customization that says Wright County Whiskey, and then another shout out Ben Frank at Sage Media and Design.
Yeah.
He's a wizard with AI, and so he builds all of our, they call them tater stickers. So like if you're a whiskey tater, it's kind of a derogatory rib of someone that goes in, and liquor stores get probably dozens of calls every day. Do you have Blanton's? Do you have Pappy? And Winkle? So if you're a whiskey tater, if you're go hunting for Blanton's, you're a whiskey tater if you only drink whiskey neat, without an ice cube. So they call these tater stickers, like fun stickers on the back. So we knew with like double oaked, like, hey, double dribble, let's do like a basketball theme.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
do you guys want to pour? Or?
Yeah, I will actually. I would love to try a little bit.
Yeah. Do you want me to pour? Or?
Go for it.
I don't know how much you guys want. I have
A finger.
I
is
have
good.
15 bottles here, so I'm just kidding.
It's gonna be our longest podcast yet, guys.
Just kidding.
I think right now, while Tim pours, I'm going to read a sponsorship. And before I can't read them. No, I'm kidding. Hey, North Wright County Today, the podcast, is brought to you by Stella's Health. They are a proud OG sponsor of the website and the podcast. And don't know if you saw on the website, but Dr. Deutsch is retiring. Shout out to Dr. Deutsch. He's been around forever. Long-time member, 40 years, man.
Wow.
40 years of practicing medicine. We're going to try to get him on the show,
Nice.
which will be super cool. But locations, Buffalo, Monticello, Stellis Health has you covered. Urgent care, skin care, expecting moms, pediatrics. Stellis Health offers it all with both locations right next to the hospitals in Buffalo and Monticello. So if it's more serious, they can ship you next door. Caring about our neighbors, community minders, that's why they're a great partner for North Wright County today. Make same day or future appointments right there in Monty and Buffalo, or check them out on stellishealth.com where they have podcasts and more information, probably more professional podcasts than this. That's cool.
They don't drink on theirs.
Yeah, probably no whiskey on their show, but there are health benefits to having a little drink it once in a while. So check them out on the North Wright County Today website or visit stellishealth.com.
Love them.
All right.
Dr. Quant.
I want to hear you say Stellis Health after a few whiskeys. That's what I want to hear.
I'm going to sound a lot like Sylvester the cat, Thuffer and Thuckatack.
That's funny.
I smell banana. You guys get that? It came right up. That's really interesting.
And what's wild is this is water, wood from the barrel, and grains.
Grains,
That's
yeah.
That's the only thing that.
And obviously, this is Woodford Reserve, so this is from Kentucky.
Kentucky,
right?
yeah.
Yep.
So kind of there's, if you ever go to the Bourbon Trail or Kentucky, there's, I kind of like to do in 3 days. You have downtown Louisville, and that's
Yeah.
kind of like Whiskey Row or Old
Right.
Forester, Angel's Envy, Peerless, Michter's, Nulu is just off of Whiskey Row.
Okay.
And then you have Bardstown, Kentucky, which is kind of like the old school, like thick Southern accents.
Okay.
There's a lot of distilleries there. We're actually going to the Kentucky Bourbon Festival in September, and that's in Bardstown. And then you
Sweet.
have kind of Frankfurt, the capital, and that's where Woodford is just outside of Frankfurt, and that's where Wild Turkey and Four Roses out. Those are like
Okay.
these big, beautiful, like horse farms. Like
Okay.
that's where a lot of Kentucky Derby horses are at
Yeah.
and stuff. Just
Sure.
gorgeous, yeah.
So I was in Indianapolis for a soccer tournament. My son's team played a team from Kentucky, and I was talking to one of the other parents on the sideline and said, "Wow, you guys really had a lot of weather down there." And he said, "Yeah, it's been just terrible." And some of these distilleries, the first floor, which is where they keep the stuff that's about ready to go out the door,
Yeah.
had flooded completely. I think you and I talked
Ohio
a little bit
River,
about
right?
that.
Yeah, some of the tributaries.
And I think you and I had talked a little bit about it. It seems, though, from what he was saying, they think they're going to be able to salvage a lot of it because the wood, these wood barrels, as it gets wet, it
Yeah.
swells, and so it locks in a little bit tighter. And so his joke was that they'll probably salvage it, bottle it, and sell it for an extra $100 a bottle
Easy.
because it'll be a special edition.
Yeah,
It'll be the
seriously.
flood edition.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woodford Reserve, double flooded.
Double flooded, yes.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff so you have these rick houses or rack houses, and just kind of, the higher up on the rick, the hotter the temperature. So like, the lower floors, lower the temperature. So a lot of these just they look like dinosaur bones. Like they're so old. It's the 20, 23-year stuff that just doesn't get that hot. So, and that's 95% of bourbon comes from Kentucky. They say it's, two reasons. They got this limestone shelf, so they say their water is superior.
Mm.
And then just the super hot summers and cold winters. So like in the summer, the liquid expands into that wood, and then in the winter it contracts, and it just draws all the flavor from the wood. Yeah, and just kind of, so it's that new charred oak barrel to be a bourbon. So they literally just, take the barrel and just flame it, just burn the crap out of it. So it's just black.
How cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So then this is a double oak. So
Pay attention in your chemistry classes, kids.
Yeah,
'Cause,
seriously. So this is double oak. So actually they'll finish it a second, put it in another charred oak barrel a second time. So that's usually like a 90 proof bourbon or whiskey is like clear. Like it's not clear, but it's it's not usually this dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is what makes this so superior. I mean, and it's nice, an everyday drinker. Is it's 90 proof, but it definitely drinks a little bit hotter, but it's not too, not too overpowering.
So, tell me a little about Minnesota distilleries. Have you done any of the local stuff?
Jay Carver. We had Jay Carver. We did a tasting so Kentucky, and then in Indiana you have Midwest Grain Products, MGP, and they source a lot of whiskeys. So if you're like a brand new distillery like Penelope, so Penelope came out in 2017, I think it was, and it's like, okay, I'm going to start a distillery. I don't have any aging whiskey, so let's go to Bardstown sources whiskey, and then MGP in Indiana. So MGP sources to so many distilleries. Dark Arts, Penelope, a bunch of Buzzards Roost is another one that's hopefully coming to Minnesota here soon. So we did a non-Kentucky, non-MGP tasting, and it's hard. You really have to like look at labels and do some search, because you come to find out like it's actually MGP. So we threw a 7-year J Carver into it. They're out of Waconia, and the second we did that, I'm like, we're gonna do this tasting blind. Like I don't want anyone. I don't want anyone to be like, oh, J Carver,
there's the local
bourbon, there it is. And it was surprising. It shocked a lot of people. Like, oh, J Carver is really good.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's we're the club is pretty young, so I mean we're a lot of people like there was a cover story in Whiskey Advocate magazine. Is it Whiskey Advocate or a cover story on whiskey clubs. And there's a lot more than just like, hey, let's start a club. Like we have a liquor liability policy, a liability policy. I mean, we're website we direct traffic to for like our Christmas raffle and tastings. You got to pay for that, and then you got all these expenses. So a lot of our tastings throughout the year kind of help fund that. So we got to sell tickets. So if we did just a Minnesota tasting right now, I think it'd be a little challenging. What we recently started doing is reaching out to some of these local distilleries and saying, hey, we usually at our tastings we'll do like a starter pour, like kick this off, and then we'll do our regular tasting, and then sometimes we'll pour a few other bottles. Like, hey, we'd love to highlight your whiskey at some of our tastings.
That's cool.
So. Yeah, there's Panther Distillery up in Osakis. I think that's the oldest in Minnesota.
Yep.
Yeah, Jake Carver, Brother Justice does some pretty good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you were setting up the club, what was like your biggest surprise? You talked a little bit about having the liquor liability insurance, and I remember you and I were talking at that time, and it just seemed like it was pretty involved. It was.
I think getting the right people around me, like just most of us were barely even knew what bourbon was. So yeah, good team. I think there's 6 board members now, and then just trying to let me think here for a second. I don't know how to word this. It just
we're all friends here. We can throw people under the bus. It's all good.
No, just we were doing our events on like Facebook, and I hate events on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
You get like 78 maybes. So we're like, oh, we better buy 2 of each bottle. And next, it's like then all of a sudden we're eating the cost.
Yeah.
So. That's that.
Getting people to commit to anything is probably.
Commit, yeah. So then we started going through Square and actually selling tickets rather than just relying on people to bring cash or Venmo. So that was a big one.
So just business practice.
Business practice, and so we're trying to build it to where if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, it continues. So
we like to say, win the lottery.
Win the lottery, yeah.
We don't want to think about the end. We
want
to think about you transitioning out to something else. Starting a Wright or a whiskey club in Barbados, for example. Because you've you've decided to
To
move to
retire.
warmer climates.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Whiskey Club in Barbados, a little rum fact for
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
I found out that if the rum is produced in an English-speaking country and it has an age label on it, like 12 years old, 10 years old,
yes.
that means the youngest rum in there is, if it's a blend, that age. If it's a Spanish-speaking country, the law is that it just has to have a little bit
I
of
was
whatever that oldest rum is.
literally talking to someone yesterday about this.
Yes.
Yeah, you could have like all of it is like 3-year rum.
Mhm.
You could get a drop of 30-year rum
Yeah, call
and
it
throw
a
a
30.
30-year rum on the label.
Not so with whiskey.
No, whiskey.
No.
It's the youngest
Yes.
bourbon.
Yeah.
Bourbon. It's got to be the youngest. Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, I'm an Irish whiskey guy myself. I do like bourbon, but Irish whiskeys are kind of my favorite. I think they're just buttery and smooth, but the aging thing is so cool to me.
Mhm.
Just how it just mellows it out, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic. It's
Yeah, a lot of bourbon barrels end up going over to Ireland and Scotland. It's kind of
Mhm.
think Kentucky hot, cold. It's a little bit dreary. I've never been over to Ireland or
Yeah.
Scotland, but from what I've heard, it's it's cold, wet, and dreary. So
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why you can get like really aged scotches because
Yeah.
it's just it needs to age.
My uncle is an ambassador for the St. Paul Curling Club, and they actually go over and do bonspiels in
Oh,
Scotland.
wow.
oh,
And,
fantastic.
And he's brought some bottles home of scotch that are impressive.
Yeah,
to
that's
say the
awesome.
least. Yeah.
Yeah, we're again young club. We were doing mostly bourbons, and we're like, are we a bourbon club or are we a whiskey club? So we did do an Irish whiskey tasting a few years ago. That went well. We had a Brown Foreman who owns Woodford Reserve, Old Forester. They had
hmm
a brand ambassador from Scotland, and like, oh my gosh, I mean, he's been in the States for like 13 years, but he sounded like he was came from the airport to the tasting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
they,
just got off the plane.
yeah, seriously. So we had to price that one at $15 just to be able to get it low
Yeah.
enough where we could fill the room.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So people want to join you guys. You got to check out the website. Is
Yeah,
that the best place to go?
RightCountyWhiskey.club. This is the first year because we give back literally like everything. So this is the first year. We would go into January with like no money. So it was like, oh crap, we better create a square, to sell a square link for our next tasting so we can, get some money in and finish buying the models. So we went to a more of a formal membership program this year. So
Okay.
yeah, we're still accepting members, but like they gotta be committed to buying our private barrels pretty much. So but we're open. Like our next tasting's on May 16th. We've partnered up with the Hideout Supermax Suites. Have you guys heard of this
I
place?
just-
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable.
He just got the tour
Yeah.
2 months ago about
Yeah,
it.
very
yeah,
cool place to be able to host an event like that,
yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah, Sean over there is absolutely fantastic. So we've been doing our tastings over there lately. So we have one coming up on May 16th. So we're trying to get to or our tastings are not just for members, and our bottles, our private barrels aren't just for members. We really want it to for
More
for
an event
everybody.
kind
Yep,
of thing,
yep,
yeah.
yep,
Sweet.
yep. So
Well, check that out, RightCountyWhiskey.club. Maybe not on Facebook.
we do have a public Facebook page. Facebook, Instagram.
No,
we
I'm just-
post everything.
I'm
So
just
like that.
teasing because you were kind of giving Facebook a bad rap there.
Yeah,
Really, but no,
just,
it is-
just the events.
Yeah, it is out there on Facebook. Check that out. We're gonna run through a couple things for the rest of the show. Do you want to stick around and
You should.
we'll drink some whiskey and we'll
absolutely.
see how well I do these ad reads.
Yes.
It's hilarious.
Well, first things first, I'm gonna make Nick do his ad read, and we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about Deerwood Bank.
Absolutely. Fun week at the bank.
You back there?
I do, in fact, work at that bank. In fact, that's the
Go on
last
their
place I
website.
saw
There's
you.
a really attractive guy on their website.
Yeah, there is a very attractive guy on the website.
All right. So while he's talking about how great the bank was, should we dive into the other?
The new
Yeah.
No, we had a great week at the bank. I had a lot of really great meetings. Some people that would like to do business with the bank, and we would like to do business with them, and we just haven't been able to make that connection at our previous size. So really fun week. We have also got a couple of fun things coming up. The STMA Scholarship Awards. I'll be presenting there in about a week and a half. And then also the General Contractor Partnership Appreciation Awards, where coincidentally we are the bar sponsor. So very excited to be there for that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. Deerwood Bank, located on Highway 241 in St. Michael, in the bank building. The bank has changed. Nick has not. No.
I like to say 4 banks, 1 chair.
Yeah, exactly. So, but a lot of the same friendly people, friendly faces. They're great people over there, and behind so many projects around town and things that you see. So we love that Deerwood Bank is a sponsor, a longtime sponsor of North Wright County Today, and now of the NWCT podcast. Sam's not here, unfortunately. She is under the weather. She was looking forward to this one. Sam Pfeiffer, Selfie Company. I can tell you that they were a smash at prom.
Yes.
Everybody loved it. They had people stopping here, and now you can see them on social media, man, because people keep popping up here and checking out this cool place and putting it on their influencer blogs, and even did a podcast from here in the studio. We got a couple of different links out to that. So Selfie Company getting some recognition, and Sam and her friends do great. Most friends and family, Chase is here with us today, do a great job here at Selfie Company, and we appreciate them hosting us every week for the North Wright County Today podcast. So check them out, selfiecompany.com. I'm going to throw one more in here, and then we'll kind of talk about some of the events coming up. Peggy Shum, it's extension season for you businesses and tax filers out there. Mine is still pending.
Yeah.
We're not sure if Sam's turned hers in or yet.
No, every time we bring it up, she kind of rolls her eyes.
Yeah.
I don't think Sam's going to pay taxes.
Yeah, she's gonna.
My CPA just extends. He doesn't even bother calling.
Tim's part of the
We'll punt till
extension
October.
family too. Anyway, check her out at cpapss.com or visit her right there in the Midwest Bank building over by Cub Foods in beautiful downtown St. Michael. NWCT has been with Peggy for nearly a decade, and she's homegrown, grew up here, lives here, knows you, knows your business, can help you with your real estate questions, real estate taxes, things like that, property taxes. Check her out and get those rebates filed, things like that. You want to do that in this economy, learn from somebody who knows and can help you with those codes and laws and things like that and all the changes that are coming. So give her a call, 763-497-7817. Hey, big news. The big thing will be, and I'm going to try to get this posted before the road closure signs go up. But guys,
Gosh.
19 will be closed this weekend. We did post the detour route on our Facebook page. It'll be on the website too. I'll throw it up here with the podcast, but you're going to have to head down 37, cross the bridge there, and come back McIver if you're trying to go northbound on 19. So that is going to be up most of Mother's Day weekend. Let's just put it that way. It'll probably shut down 7, 8, 9 o'clock on Friday night. And, it's going to be a beautiful weekend. So sit on the porch and have a good glass of whiskey and forget about driving anywhere because it's going to just be a nightmare. But anyway, this is all part of the Mind the Gap project. We had a little podcast about that back a little while ago. This is part of the 94 project, from our place to Tim's place. Tim's
Yes.
up in Monticello. So, Albertville to Monticello. They're reconstructing that, tearing down the old westbound bridge. That'll happen over the weekend. Also, just not to be short-sighted about it, you're going to have one lane of traffic going each way once it's reopened. So 19 is going to be a bit of a nightmare. Doesn't really help with the circus tent going up.
Yes,
Like,
I saw
you know,
that
you're
up
gonna have
yesterday.
to take the long way to get there if you
Yeah.
want to go to the
Outdoor.
circus.
Over at
Family
the
days?
outlet mall.
Yeah.
When is Mother's Day again?
That is this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
Just kidding.
Don't
Yeah,
forget,
Sunday.
Tim.
Sunday, Tim.
Tim's like, I
We were
gotta
talking-
stop. I gotta stop
Kristen
on
and
the
I were
way
talking
home.
about the
Yeah.
weekend. Like, oh, great, Sunday. I gotta.
Sorry,
dance
Kristen, you're
this,
getting everything Amazon Prime. That's what's happening.
Yeah, our middle has a dance. She's over at Gravity here, block away. And she's got a dance comp on Sunday. She's like, yeah, just what I wanted to do on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mother's Day is Sunday.
You and Sam.
Yeah.
Yep. Sam talked about how she's
Yeah.
gonna be stuck at a
Yeah.
dance
Sam's
competition all
daughter
weekend,
is
too.
One of my, she's a
One of the
instructor.
coaches?
Yeah,
Okay.
one of my kids' coaches. She's
There
great.
you go. Well, shout
Looks
out
like
to
it's
Yeah,
gonna be
Mia's awesome.
a gorgeous day that day too. Kind of hot. But
Yeah, I'm
looks
gonna
like
be
it's nice.
I'm gonna be standing at a soccer field, so
Me too.
I'll be with my mom, which is kind of cool. I haven't been with her for Mother's Day for a while, so yeah, that was the other news I was gonna drop. We've got Mother's Day specials all over town, so check out the website. Well, check out our social feeds for that. We're trying to share as many of those as we can, but yeah, from homegrown and Main Street Farmer to even some of the places over in Otsego. Rockwoods has an outstanding Mother's Day brunch. If you haven't been over there, with a little Bloody Mary bar, if mom wants to hit that. But yeah, get out if you want to get out and have some food Mother's Day. Lots of options for that. So pretty cool. Other than that, it's been a quiet week here in Lake Wobegon.
Yeah. Big news. Talking to our mutual friend Mike Simon.
Ooh.
High school track teams, both boys and girls, made True Team State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One brought home True Team Section Championships last night.
Yes,
I
sir.
believe they're Section 8.
Yes.
And shout out to an alumni who is one of the main coaches, and that's Chase Ko. So
Yes.
Mr. Ko, who's also a teacher at the high school, was a cross-country stud,
Yes.
and obviously now has translated that into a coaching career. And I believe this is the first time in a while, possibly 2014 or 2015, they've swept the True Team section. So shout out to those kids. It's a big enough senior class. You think we'd be pretty good?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's just some talent and some real dedication. And track is one of those. I don't know if you guys were in track at all.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it takes dedication and commitment.
I was a long distance runner.
Yeah.
Are they in the Lake Conference for track and field?
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
Are they? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gotta be.
No, I was a track guy. I was like a middle distance, 200, 400 sprints. And as my coach used to like to tell me, even you can do this, dummy. Just run hard and turn left.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Left turn, left turn, left turn. Hey, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, isn't
It is
I think it
teacher.
is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shout out to teachers.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow,
Teacher
yeah.
Appreciation Week. This is
Yeah, a
why we
lot
have
of-
guys
yeah.
like Tim on the show.
it? A lot of amazing local teachers.
That's absolutely
Fantastic
true.
local teachers. Yeah. We got a really cool care package from a local church in Emmanuel Church in Elk River.
Oh, nice.
Dropped off some boxes around the district this week. So some snacks and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, we know you're not a teacher, but you guys can have some. So us communication. But actually, tomorrow is School Communication People's Day, Communicators Day.
Nice.
So we do get a day at the end of the week. Shout out to all the people like me out there who are up at 5 in the morning on snow days and sending emails and surveys and all those fun things. And the guys like Wayne Hoisted who do two different jobs, do transportation and the communications. So for smaller districts, a lot of times that falls on the shoulders of superintendents and principals and things like that. But a lot of districts around
Is there
here
a
have.
finance professionals day, Tim?
Not really.
I
get
feel like
screwed.
we should get a date.
Yeah, we should. Or month.
A month, yes.
Give us a month.
Finance professional
Finance
history month.
Professionals Month. Yeah,
Oh, that'd be great.
definitely wasn't March.
Yeah, things got a little weird there.
Crazy,
Ah.
crazy start to the year.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I tell you what, thank you so much
Yeah, thanks for
for
having
joining
us.
us, man.
Absolutely.
I'm going to do one more ad read, and we are going to get out of here. Our last but not least, today's show has been brought to you by Craig Renz and Solutions Counseling. Did you know that Solutions has served 1 in 3 members of the St. Michael Abbeville community? That's like 10,000 men, women, and kids getting help with solutions for their mental health needs, and we think that's awesome. Because mental health should be just like physical health. Get those checkups, check-ins. Solutions has 24 professionals to choose from to help you. It might be more. You know, he sent me this like 2 months ago. They might have added people by now. I don't know. But, it's right around 20 or 30. Hypnotherapy, trauma, anxiety, marital issues. They're going to help you with all that stuff right on Main Avenue in St. Michael. They also do virtual appointments at getcounseling.org, where you can meet some of the team, set up a tour, and have your initial appointment. Another OG sponsor of North Wright County Today, online at getcounseling.org. Shout out to Craig and Caleb and the whole crew over there. All right, man, that's it for the first full week of May. Prom went off without a hitch. We are in the home stretch. People out there looking for graduation tickets, be patient. Things usually work out. And remember, there's always an overflow in the Performing Arts Center where you can watch it inside in the air conditioning with your family if you can't get the seats in the stadium. Going to be a busy month, man.
Yeah, I saw a meme on social media that said that May is the month where schools and sports seem to think you don't have a job.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, or a social life after the job. Yeah,
there's that.
there's so much going on this week. So.
No, he's a junior.
Junior.
Mike's got a senior.
I've got the senior, and then Nick, and then I've got another one.
Yeah.
Nick's going to be an empty nester
That
here,
will be.
but
So old.
But
Related story. I'm taking
April's
pickleball
just gonna
lessons
keep-
next weekend.
April's just going to keep adding dogs to the household.
Easily until I'm replaced. There will be no more room on the bed because there'll be so many dogs. Yeah.
You can just have Colin's room.
Yeah, there you go. Finally get my man cave.
All right. One more time, WrightCountyWhiskey.club. Check them out there. Check them out on Facebook. And get to one of the events coming up here soon. And, it's all for a great, it's the old saying, it's for a good cause.
Absolutely.
And this really is, it's a good thing for a good cause. And we love that you're part of our community.
Yes.
Thanks for being with us. man.
We just crossed over $240,000 raised.
That's
is
insane.
incredible.
Almost
In
$250,000.
31 months.
In less than 5 years.
Yeah, last year we raised $124,000. Wow, crazy! Never in a million years did I think that would happen.
Just gonna keep growing too.
Yeah.
So we're gonna cap off the podcast with we'll salute.
Cheers.
And we're drinking. What are we drinking now?
This
So
is
get the mic a little
finished
closer to you.
whiskey. This is a New Lou out of New Louisville, Kentucky. This is maple brulee. So it's a bourbon. So a finished whiskey or bourbon, they do the whole charred new oak, all that, and then they'll put it in a secondary barrel. So like wine cask, maple. So this is maple brulee. So think creme brulee. So this was in a barrel that they had aged bourbon, and then they aged maple syrup, and they emptied it and sent that maple syrup to a company that sells aged barrel aged maple syrup, and then they brulee it.
Okay.
They take a blowtorch
Right.
and torch it. So you have these like white crystals, and then they age the bourbon in that, and it's like candy. So it was we did this this sticker was Whiskey Wonka. We just thought like Willy Wonka, like the brainchild behind this maple brulee.
That's
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah,
Little-
New Lou's is one of my favorite. Chase Hazelbaker over at New Lou's, the owner's son. Yeah, they're killing it over at New Lou. So
Cool. Well, thanks again, man.
yeah.
All right. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Thanks for another podcast in the can.